Hello and welcome to another review on Black Series figures. In this case, two Black Series figures. We have Darth Revan from Knights of the Old Republic, which is considered legends now because it's not good enough for Disney and Rey. And I'm not going to do that all day for the video. And we have Ahsoka there, who's one of the figures from one of the newest batches. Now, for those of you who haven't been on this channel that long, I did review the Black Series Darth Maul from a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away. Zing! And I didn't like that figure. I thought that figure was horrible. And I was comparing it to Figuarts. And back then, Figuarts was, for the most part, a lot of Figuarts were the same price as Black Series. Now, Hasbro has done some improvements to the Black Series, and I've seen the pictures, they all look great. But let me tell you, every single Black Series promotional photo is a complete lie. Because I'm going to tell you right now, the Black Series, even at its price point, still sucks for what it's supposed to be. Now, I'm not talking about the 3.75 inch ones. Those for the size and price are okay, and they're more kids' toys. Black Series is aimed at the adult market and therefore should aim for the adult quality. But what we've got here is complete amateur, bad design, bad articulation, and overall bad quality control. But before we get all over that, let's take a look. So the box art has been consistent, and that's fine with the rest of the Black Series and stuff. You can see our figures in there, but you really have to pick these up and look really closely at the figures to make sure you get one that's considered good or decent. If you don't do that, there's a chance you'll pick a figure up that looks really bad, because consistency is not something the Black Series knows. So at least we have a window there, so do pick. And I do realize that if you get the classic card back ones that look like the retro Kenner figures, it's much easier to see the quality of the figure because you don't have all the box covering and covering the light. So we've got our two figures here, plastic hook on top there to hook this onto shelves and whatnot, and on the back there we have a little bit of description of Darth Revan and Ahsoka Tano. Now I picked these two figures up because these are characters that I kind of really like, and I know that there's no chance of these figures ever appearing in, you know, the other toy lines and whatnot. We have our two figures out of the box. We, aside from the two lightsabers each, they get no accessories whatsoever. No hand swapping, no facial expression swapping, no nothing. And on the surface, I suppose that's fine if you just want the figures to display, but Marvel Legends has different accessories. Why can't the Star Wars stuff have that? They're both done by Hasbro. Whatever, let's take a look at these figures one by one. The coloring on this figure, the red and the blacks, they're fine. The silver there looks pretty good as well. I'm not a fan of this pinkish, brownish, metallic coloring that they've done there, but overall it does look fine. Other good things about this figure is that the joints are hidden quite well, because they actually don't have that too many joints, but they are hidden quite well. And due to the design of the suit, you got all these cloaks and stuff. The most ugly joint that they have on Black Series, and little leg and hip joints, are also covered up as well. So those are the good bits. Let's go on with all the bad bits. The first problem with the Black Series is this one and Ahsoka is that the choice of plastic that they use, it's a softish material. On the thin areas it's actually quite easily bendable, and on the thicker areas you can't really bend it, but you still feel like you can dig your fingernails in there and you'll get some fingernail marks. It's soft plastic. The good side to this is you can chuck this against a wall, you can drop it from a shelf and it won't break because it's soft plastic. It's very durable. And also you can use these thinner parts as you know, cape and fabrics and stuff, which I don't know why they didn't use it for all of it, but whatever. So that sense is good. The bad side to this plastic is that a lot of detail cannot all, they just not bothered to mold in the finer details. Yeah, this figure looks great from a distance, but if I'm going to start zooming in on him, this might not be apparent yet until we look at the lightsaber hilts, but you see all these molded details there? The lines are either thick or just diluted, they feel a bit blurry, and yeah, it's just not that impressive when you take a closer look. The other downside to soft plastic is that it seriously affects the joints. Now, just like all the Black Series stuff, a lot of these joints have a little clickiness to it. They've got some clicks in the joints. I think they've done that is to help put in certain poses, because this plastic is absolutely terrible for these joints. Why? Because it's either too soft, too loose, and you can't get precise movements. Which is why they put the clicks in there to give you precise movements on certain angles. But for the most part, I cannot get a smooth motion with any of these joints. Aside from the upper legs maybe, because that's just too loose in general. Moving on from that, we also have a questionable quality of joints here. Now, the upside to the Black Series over, say, Marvel Legends is that they've used the ball stomach joint, which in theory it's good because SH Figuarts and Figma uses that and you can do a lot of articulation with it. But for some reason, I cannot do those articulation with this Revan figure. Look how far I can bend back, and that's it. And in theory, he should have nothing there. He should have all the articulation he can do. But I guess out of desire to hide the joints, I suppose, I can't. This movement sucks. And the other joint problem is they still use a single joint there for the shoulders. We've got a single joint for the elbows, so he can't even bend his arm that much. The overall articulation to these figures just kind of suck. I mean, they are action figures after all. Where's the action? So another negative with this figure is the well, the head. This hood piece is non-removable. It's glued down. It's stuck there. Why even bother giving this head a joint articulation at all? It's barely articulated. I can't move it. This hood's in the way. Even the kiddie version of the Ghost Kamen Rider Ghost figure has neck and hood removable action and stuff. And that hood piece was like a whole gimmick and all that, which shouldn't move, and yet it still can move more than this. So, taking a close look at these lightsabers, they use the same soft plastic for the hilts, and look at it, the detailing there is just terrible. You think, oh, that doesn't look too bad. They got the lines and paints and stuff, and oh well, yeah, I suppose. Let me bring in a good lightsaber. Look how much sharper the Figuarts lightsaber is. This is from the Anakin Revenge of the Sith Figuarts. Look how sharp that lightsaber is compared to the Black Series. So look how nice the silver is, the chrome effect and the black lining, the small buttons and stuff, and look how blurry it is compared. Look how blurry the Black Series lightsabers are. Don't believe me? Here are the blue lightsabers with Ahsoka. Look how blurry they are. And look how unsharp the blade is. It looks like creamy blue, which it's not too big of a deal if you take photos and you're gonna Photoshop it anyway with the lightsaber glow. But when compared to this nice, sharp, crisp blue color that actually looks like the blue from the movies, you got these. These lightsabers suck. And one thing these lightsabers have is that you can pull out the blade and the hilt, so you don't need an extra accessory. But that just means that, oh, you got a huge black dot there, which is very Twilighty, but whatever, not too big of a deal. So you got the hilt, and you can attach the hilt to the figure and whatnot. That's fine. That's okay. It's not really that big of a problem. Well, you can nitpick if you want, but I think it's absolutely okay for them to do it that way. Here's the problem. There's two things. One, I worry about the joint there snapping because this is soft rubbery plastic, and pulling it, pushing it, pulling it, pushing it over a long period of time and many times, eventually it's going to snap. So the Figuarts way they've done it is they give you a hilt without blade, and they give you a hilt with blade, so you can do stuff like that. But then you think, hey, I've got removable blades. That should be a plus, right? I can swap these blades with other lightsabers, right? No. Just with these two figures alone, the lightsabers and hilts are not compatible. The peg size is actually different. So they could have had a feature there, like different handles with different colored blades. That would have been awesome. But no, instead they have a completely disastrous feature here that has no bonuses, and they've only done it so they don't have to give you an extra handle to go in the box as an extra piece of accessory. So they're saving out on money and giving you a product that has the potential of breaking if you actually use it. So this figure, we do have fabric material, which let's be honest, like stuff like SH Figuarts and Figma they don't use too often, but they do use them from time to time. And when they do use them, the fabric is better than the Black Series stuff. Why? Now this piece here, this ripped cloth for Revan's like lower like dress area, that's fine, it's all ripped and stuff, but it's actually just regular ripped plastic, meaning that you can keep ripping it. And if you pose this a lot, play around this figure a lot, eventually you're going to have no cape left because you've ripped all the fabric away. There's no after solution or acrylic or anything or any sealant around this edge, it is just a ripped piece of sheet, which will keep ripping. That's just pathetic. And now you can't really see the stitching on the back here, so I suppose that's okay. But the stitching on the back here, look how thick that is. It's not too big a problem with Revan, but we'll see with Ahsoka in a moment that it is a big problem with Ahsoka. He also has this cape here, which now this one has been somewhat has like an after thing applied to it, so the ripped areas don't keep ripping, kinda. But my problem is this: look how shiny it is. It looks cheap and tacky. Like, where did they get this from? And look how fit it is, and look how thick and big the stitching is. This is unacceptable for a figure this size. When we get fabric on SH figure arts now, sometimes it still look goofy and people still complain about this. But compared to this, the fabrics on SH figure arts is so much more amazing because the stitch and lining of it, it's so much more fine, it's so much more smaller, and actually looks like it fits on the figure it's on. Here, it looks like it's a regular human-sized cloth trying to fit on a 1/12 size figure. It just... And it doesn't have any wires in it, so I can't do poses. So it's just there. Like, I guess I need an actual fan to blow it up if I want to do certain poses. Okay, so Ahsoka here. Let's take a look at her plastic overall. It looks fine, I suppose, and the choice of soft plastic here is decent, I guess. Paint job wise, the face is actually okay, but you do need to choose and look in the shop and be careful, because if you're not, you'll get like a goofy-eyed version which is printed in the wrong place. So that's something you need to do, but mine here is okay. And the overall printing on her isn't too bad, except when it gets to this soft fabric here. We've got numerous places where there's not enough brown on her lower dress. Look at that. Uneven lining, blurry details, just... I can paint better than this. And I'm not a good painter, model kit wise. I can paint a better dress piece than that. There's no excuse there. And as for her fabric piece, look how obvious that is. It looks like her dress is already ripping apart. Like, look at this. This is terrible. I mean, if you're using soft plastic anyway, just use soft plastic for this. You know, adding a piece of fabric doesn't make this figure more premium if it looks like crap. So, articulation with her. Now, this figure is really hard to stand. One, because her feet are so small, and two, because of the previously mentioned joint problem with this kind of soft plastic. Another thing that's more noticeable with her is all these joint holes. Money-saving techniques, it just looks ugly. At least the colors match, but it's still annoying. This is inexcusable though. Look how bright that orange joint is. It looks like two completely different pieces of plastic, and it's just... I mean, the whole idea of this, I guess, with less articulation is that they hide the joints, but that's not hiding a joint. That's just way too obvious. That looks poor. Another thing with articulation problem is now she supposedly does have head rotation, and look how stiff that is. Just move. It's so tight because of this soft rubbery plastic. It just has too much grip. It's not fun at all. Another thing with her is I had like zero head up and down articulation. I actually broke the figure, cut the joint inside, so I broke it to fix it. Now she can actually look down a little bit, look up just ever so slightly. And I can't cut any more of the plastic or else her head would just fall off. So the neck joint is completely disastrous and pathetic. And finally, with her articulation issues, she is quite hard to stand straight because of the small feet and the bad feet articulation. She's standing now. Just not fun to pose. If I want to do something more extreme, it's pretty much impossible. Oh, and yeah, more extreme poses, this skirt gets away, so you have to push it up. You see what Figure Arts and Figma does is they have the soft plastic go all the way around. They actually have a cut in the fabric on the back somewhere and overlapping the plastic so you don't see the hole, and you have more articulation options, whereas here it just gets in the way. Okay, and last but not least, plastic problems with Ahsoka. Her thumb needs hot water treatment because it was just warped from the factory or whatever, and I thought there was like extra plastic that they forgot to cut off. No, her thumb's not in the right place, so I need to fix that with hot boiling water. Speaking of extra plastic, if we just look at her other hand here, yeah, we got extra plastic inside her hand that wasn't cut. Pathetic molding. And finally, other plastic problems there. Look at this. Look at this hole on the boot there. It's missing a bit of plastic. The boot's not complete because the molding injection didn't go right. This just Quality control? What's that? Let's go through all of the articulation this time. There is head tilt ever so slightly, and there's slight rotation. I suppose it's just actually a regular joint only, but this hood just gets in the way. It's so bulky and ugly as well. But yeah, you can move his head just a little bit. Shoulder body is on a ball joint with some articulation. Hand is on a peg and swivel, and elbow swivel and single joint. Hand is on a rotating peg, and then you got the leg joints, but you really gotta lift his like whole robe to get proper articulation. So leg goes up. You got the clicky joints on the legs, which are just annoying. And legs go sideways just a little bit. And then you got the rotation joint there on the upper leg. And feet have a single peg joint. Like, wow, if I just want to have him do this pose, you know, just like look at the side holding the lightsabers, whatever, he can't even rotate his foot. They don't have a foot rotating joint there. Why is that joint not there? It makes him really hard to pose. Like, can he stand in this epic pose just like this? Yes? Oh, well, at least he can stand. Oh, never mind. Right, Ahsoka's articulation, like I said, I actually gave her articulation, but now she can rotate her head and move up and down just ever so slightly, but originally there's no head bopping articulation. Shoulder goes up, just peg and swivel, whatever, it's there. Arm also has the single elbow, hand is on the single swivel peg joint. Now her torso does move quite well, I'll give them that. This is a good torso ball peg. But it's only a single stomach joint, not double. Hip articulation is really poor. You gotta essentially get rid of that dress piece. The leg can go up, back. You got the rotating joints there. And wow, they didn't even bother painting that bit because, oh, you're not gonna see it. What the crap is this plastic problem here? That's not good. No, anyway. Double knee joint, and foot is on a peg. It does rotate, so she's got the extra joint Revan doesn't, so that's something, I suppose. Let's see if we can do an epic pose with her. Like, just have her head rotate, and can she stand? Oh, yes she can, so that's something, I suppose. So, bottom line is, the Black Series, it's not worth the money that you're paying for to get it. If you get it in a huge discount, they're okay. Pick up the characters you like and that's it. But it's really hard to recommend these figures to anyone. I wouldn't give these figures to my friend that I know if they like the characters. It's just, there's so many problems with these. Bad molding, bad detailing, bad paint job, bad articulation, and it's just... For the price you're paying for, you really think a company like Hasbro has enough resources to improve, but you know what? I feel like the money isn't even going towards the creators or the factory. I feel like the money is going to executives and CEOs and licensing fees with Disney and all that. But even then, if you just bring in SH Figuarts, which only costs a little bit more than the Black Series, they gotta play Disney licensing too, but they have such better figures. Just check out the Anakin review. Oh, look, I can't even stand still in a more extreme pose. I can't even do Ahsoka's more signature poses because her arms won't bend far enough. Like, I guess if you have like a character like Thrawn or Tarkin where they just stand there with their hands standing forward like a statue, you might as well get a statue. So yes, Black Series figures, they suck. They're just bad. They're disappointing. Every time you pick up a figure, you think, oh, this is the character I like. I'm gonna have a good experience with this. You get it out of the box, and you get a piece of crap. I've seen bootlegs that have better quality than these. Stupid. And you too, Revan.